Hello, this is Dean Phoenix continuing my No Armour Deathmatch playthrough, and I'm just going to be picking up from where I left off at the last episode. I had just restarted this actually, and I was just starting streaming again, but I'd managed to jump off the top of the tower and then reloaded the wrong save, so nothing really happened. It was a bit of a waste of time. So we're just restarting this episode, reloading the correct save. And basically what I've had is that I'm going to be carrying on from the last episode. If you watched that, I do encourage you to check that out. It's uploaded on YouTube. And basically the cool thing about that was that the level 20 Leshen from around the level 20 Leshen from outside the grotto where you do the Griffin quest actually managed to find its way into the grotto, and I managed to take it down with a combination of broadhead bolts and the poisoning from my viper swords, so that was pretty cool. And that also made me think that I would have a decent chance, assuming that the Ancient Leshen that I want to take out in Skellige to get the Ancient Leshen decoction, assuming that thing can be taken out using bleeding and poisoning as well. That's only 2 levels higher than that Leshen that I just beat. So I figured that I would try and get to Skellige and just see if I would be able to take that thing out, because the combination of the Ancient Leshen decoction with Aard Sweep is one of my absolute favourite combinations. I used it all through my New Game Plus walkthrough. I added it to the Uber build, and it's actually one of the few things that makes the Uber build even better. And I don't have the Griffin School technique skill that I would normally pick up as my first skill and use with the starting medium armor or the Griffin armor, which is one of the things I recommended in my deathmatch walkthrough. So because I can't do that in this playthrough, because I'm not using any armor, so Griffin School techniques wouldn't have any effect, I wanted to find other ways to increase my stamina regeneration and use that as a really good combat tactic, and so that's what I'm going to be trying out just here. So got a couple of other things that I want to try out there, and that's something that I'm really interested in doing, and one of the main things that I want to try in this playthrough. So I'm just going to be going through this now. I just need to take out this Draconid, which I believe is a wyvern, and should find its way down here, and I'll be able to do that. So before I go to Skellige, I'll need to make sure that I've crafted some more broadhead bolts. And just here I'm just going to set myself up for how we want to do this fight. So I'll need the correct oil, which will be Draconid oil for this. And I'm just here first to get the wyvern decoction. Sorry, just let me set these up whilst I'm concentrating. Okay, so I've used the foglet decoction there, and the Draconid oil rather, and then I'm going to be using that as well. So because I'm fighting in an enclosed space, I'm going to try and poison this thing, but I also need the golden aureole so that I am not getting poisoned myself. So we're just going to get the enhanced devil's puffball, but first things first, I'm just going to try and get this wyvern to come down and actually fight me. If it's going to carry on flying around there, I need to draw it in and get it to actually come down so that I can fight it. Okay, so here's this thing. I'm just going to try and get the devil's puffball going first to try and poison it, and then also try and inflict bleeding. So I do have some broadhead bolts left, and I'll be making some more of those, and they're extremely useful, so I'm just going to be using that. Also get a dragon's dream going so that I can hopefully burn it, and the burning will cause a lot of damage to it as well. So then because I've got acquired tolerance, we do have a lot of toxicity available, and I've got Gourmet still healing me up there. So even though we're fighting in close quarters, it should be alright versus this thing. Just going to try and roll past it so that I don't get knocked off an edge again, and keep Quen up, and the enhanced tourniquet makes that a lot easier as well. That's one of my absolute favourite potions. In fact, it's probably what I find to be the most useful potion. So managed to get some fire damage there. As you can see, the stamina regeneration, although the tourniquet doesn't sound like it'd have a really big effect, it is extremely useful. So again, because we don't have Griffin School techniques, we're not as strong. We didn't have a strong sign intensity, so using things like the foglet decoction or the enhanced petri filter can be extremely useful for raising your sign intensity a little bit. And the sign intensity is not about causing It's not about causing direct damage to the enemies per se. It's more to allow us. It's more to allow us to have higher sign intensity, to have a higher chance at burning, which is extremely important. So that's always something to bear in mind. So nothing to collect in this little bit. Again, I had actually started the stream just before this, but I restarted it because instead of climbing up there and fighting the wyvern like I meant to, I climbed up this tower first and then jumped off the edge. So it wasn't really very good to watch the couple of loading screens from that. So I just restarted this portion of the stream. So again, if you've not been watching the other episodes, I encourage you to check them out, and it just shows how I've started off the actual playthrough with No Armour and some of the things I've been using. Gourmet is extremely good and has been really useful, as much for convenience as anything. Instead of having to repeatedly use food items, even though I do have tons of food items and I could do that, just allows me to keep one food item going the whole time, heals me between battles, and also means it's one less thing to focus on during battles, because I don't have to remember to repeatedly use food every 5 or 10 seconds. So Gourmet, really useful skill, and I've been getting a lot of mileage out of that as well. So I've got the Griffin School diagrams there, and although I'll not be actually making the swords themselves, although I'll not be actually making the gear itself, or at level 11 I will be able to use these. So you can see there that we won't have the high chance to poison from the Viper Steel sword, so I'm going to stick with that for now, but I will be able to get more damage from that sword, and I could potentially use poison blades to be able to mitigate not having the poisoning from that Viper sword. So I just need to see where I'm going next, because I'll probably be going to Skellige. I might just head to Novigrad first and do that part there. So that's a level 6 quest there as well, and I might just fast travel and do that first, just to get a little bit of extra experience before I make my way to Skellige. And then I'll do that. And this is the Hattori mission, so that's a lot higher level, and I'll actually just be leaving that for a little bit. So I mean, I could be carrying on with the quests, and if you see, I've got the Pyres of Novigrad, and I am the right level to be doing that now. And I've just got a few of these side quests to do as well. So I think what I might do is go to Skellige first, and then I'll come back and finish off some of these quests a little bit later. So let me just finish off these couple of quests. It'll mean fast travelling for a couple of them, so I'll go and grab my reward for this one first. Then I'll fast travel and do the Greedy God quest, and then after that I'll be heading to Skellige. And one of the things that I just need to point out with this is I'm not going to go and do a lot of the Skellige quests. There are certain ones that you can manage a little bit early, but the only one I really want to do is try and get the Ancient Leshen decoction. And again, that'll be a sort of fun little challenge. Now, with it being a contract monster, sometimes they're a little bit different. For example, the level 35 Archgriffin that you can fight in Oxenfurt is not susceptible to burning like normal griffins are. So you can't use burning against that one, and it may be a similar sort of thing with that Ancient Leshen. It may not be as susceptible to poisoning or bleeding, so I may not be able to beat it, particularly because you do have to take on the wolves at the same time, whereas the Leshen that teleported into the cave at the end of the last episode, I was just fighting by itself, so I didn't have to worry about the wolves. So I'll have to see. It may not be particularly easy for me to do. It may not even be possible at this level, but I want to try a few things like that. I really don't like doing the actual fist fighting things because they're so boring and they can be a bit tricky on deathmatch, so I'm just going to leave that be for now. One of the other advantages of going to the Skellige area early is I'll be able to go to Arinbjorn and buy the Tala card, which I'm using the Northern Realms deck currently because I haven't got any of the Nilfgaard spies yet, and you need the spies to be able to use Nilfgaard properly, really. So that's one of the things that I'll be able to do as well, and that'll be extremely useful. There's tons of things that you can do. I mean, normally I really hate having failed quests, but like one of the things you can do if you don't mind failing a quest is to play high stakes, and it's not failing the quest exactly, it's just that when you play high stakes, the Gwent tournament, basically you get unique cards from that, and you can get 4 leader cards. Now, it's difficult to finish high stakes and get all 4 leader cards at a low level, because what happens is that you have to beat all 4 opponents, and after beating the elf, who is the 3rd opponent, to get the Skellige leader, it's extremely difficult to hold on, beat the elf in a fist fight, because he's such a high level. It takes a really long time, and he does loads of damage to you. So like one false move and you're pretty much dead, and then you don't get the opportunity to get the monster leader card, which is one of the best monster leader cards, by winning the actual thing. But you can still complete the quest, so if you don't mind missing that monster leader card, you could very easily win the first 2 or 3 matches and get the Northern Realms, Skellige and Nilfgaard leader cards. And it's particularly the Nilfgaard leader card that I'd want, because I really love the Nilfgaard deck. It's on a par or even better than the Northern Realms deck when you've got all of the cards at very high levels. So let's just have a look. So we're just going to finish Greedy God first. It gets us a little bit of experience and some rewards. So I'm just going to do this, and then I will be going to Skellige. So I've used Nihilani's Eye already. I just have to find that edge, wherever that was. And I've got another alchemy recipe there, so that's extremely useful. That's the Superior Devil's Puffball, which is the Superior Poisoning Bomb, although I'll probably not have the stuff to be able to make it just yet. So I'll make the Enhanced Spectre Oil there. I don't have the stuff for an Enhanced Relic Oil yet, because you need Cave Troll livers. So I'll have to get some of that later. Okay, so let me see what else I've got. Need a light essence, so I'd need to fight another Noon Wraith before I could do that as well. There's not a lot of the actual decoctions that I would need yet. I'll make those a little bit later, but those are useful. Now, where is this path down? Here we go. Okay, so you can kill this thing if you want, but you can just tell him to get stuffed as well. I think if you want to avoid the fight and get all the stuff that's down here and everything, that's an easy way to go, is just you tell him to accept the humble offerings. Now the thing is, you can tell the villagers that he's down here and they come down afterwards. Now I believe that if you do that, you can come back later and you find out that actually they've come downstairs and this thing has actually killed him, which is a bit harsh. But to be perfectly honest, I'm not particularly bothered about that in this playthrough. This is more of a game through playthrough. So for the little bit of extra experience, I'll probably just end up doing that anyway, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure how that ends out, but like, yeah, let's have a look. Anyway, let's go. Yeah, you should go find it. Totally not a terrible idea at all. Anyway, so that's Greedy God done. And now I'm just going to go and find my way to Skellige. So let's just get back to finding the fast travel. I'm just going to fast travel to Novigrad and then go from there. So we've got a little bit of extra crowns there, not that that really matters. We've got quite a lot of crowns coin already, so we're doing fine there. We're just going to move along and go to Skellige. Now normally it costs 1,000 crowns to go to Skellige. You need that to be able to pay the captain first. 1,000 crowns is not a lot of money, it's pretty easy to get. But on top of that, one of the things that you can do is you can get the 1,000 crowns back after you've actually done that quest. So it doesn't really cost you £1,000 to go to Skellige. So just going to be 1,000 crowns, because you can get it back by looting the captain's body after you have actually gone. Now, for now, when I'm level 11, I will be able to make and equip the Griffin swords, but what I can actually do in the meantime is just stick with the Viper swords, and the poisoning is extremely useful from those swords. Again, you can just get poison blades instead if you want, and that's a fine substitute. So that's something else that we can be doing here, and I'll be doing that shortly. I may actually end up dropping Gourmet on the build if I'm able to get the Echidna decoction, because with the Echidna decoction and the Ancient Leshen decoction, the Echidna decoction will heal us, and the Ancient Leshen decoction is helpful for keeping your stamina up, allowing for more signs use. And the way the Echidna decoction works is if your stamina is used up, it heals you a small amount, and that's extremely useful if combined with that ability to increase your stamina regeneration. because the more you increase your stamina regeneration, the more often you can use signs with the Ancient Leshen decoction and Aard Sweep, and then that means in turn the more often you can use the Echidna decoction to keep you healthy, and you can also use it outside of battle, so I'll have less use for that. I'll have less use for that in the actual... just going to add roach to that deck. I'll have more use for that in the actual... hold on. Battles and outside of battle as well, so that's useful. He's going to play a game of Gwent just because it's fun. He's playing Skellige, so I'll actually keep those, and that's a good combination because I'll be able to use my siege there as well. See, now that is the downside sometimes of having the Gaunter cards in your deck, is if you want to switch out a second card, it can sometimes swap a useful card for one of these instead, so that's interesting. We're just going to use these for now. Try and make him pass this one relatively early. So what I can actually do here is just take these back, and unless they have a clear weather, I'll be able to use this, win this pretty easily. Okay, so we win that one. We get another card here. Not particularly useful, but also doesn't make much of a difference. And we can see how we go with this one. Make him use up some cards here. And that's made him waste a Scorch, so unless he has another Scorch there, should be alright because I'll be able to double these ones up. Of course he does have another Scorch, so that's a bit of a problem. Might end up losing this one now, but it doesn't really matter. I can always play him again. Or I have actually already beaten this guy, so it's not really a big deal either way. Interesting thing about the Agile cards from the Skellige deck is that they will always get played automatically wherever is the best place for them to be played. So I do end up losing this one, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, they always get played in automatically the best place. So because the Biting Frost was already played there, it played it on the it played the Agile card as a medic and played it on the correct row. So that's interesting. I could try and beat this guy again, but I didn't actually mean to play him in Gwent. I was just on autopilot. What I actually wanted to do was just sell some of the books to this guy because it's the he's the best person to sell books to in Novigrad. And conveniently, a lot of those people are all on this same square, so that's really useful. So I can just sell some of these again, and you can sell stuff to him. He gives really good prices for things as well, like 8 for a pig hide there. I'm actually going to save those because I'll be going to Skellige, who can sell them to a merchant who gives really great prices as well in Skellige, because the guy there sells stuff for really, like I say, really good prices. So just need to find where my books are for me to sell those. They're all down at the bottom here. And we can sell all of those. You can even sell letters and things that you've read already. So I'm just going to sell all this stuff because I no longer need it. And anything that's not been read would be it's still in white instead of greyed out. So I can just sell all this stuff, get a little bit of extra cash. Some things sell for quite a lot, and some things not so much, but you can just pretty much sell everything because I never feel the need to keep anything that I've read because it'd all be kept in your log anyway. So done that, just got a few 100 crowns there as well, which is why that's always useful to do. So again, there are little things you can do that, whilst 300 crowns doesn't seem like an absolute ton, it's a fair amount to be able to get. You know, in terms of you being able to get little bits of money all the time, and then that can very quickly add up, so always worth doing. Also see if we've got any more coins. I believe I had quite a few coins to exchange with Vimy again. And again, it never matters how long you leave it to pay back your loan, so you never have to actually do that. But it's only 30 credit, 130 crowns there, so now I can just pay that back if I need. And then obviously that's dwarfed by the amount that you get for exchanging the coins as well. So always worth doing that on early on. Now I do need to clear up a little bit of inventory space, so I'm just going to meditate. That'll also have the bonus of restocking all the stuff I'll need to use on the boat for fighting and going over to Skellige. Now before I forget, one of the other things I need to do is to use some of these things. So I have a spare slot here, and I can either use it on getting some things to get down towards Aard Sweep and have Exploding Shield, which will also slightly increase my stamina regeneration, or I can use Poison Blades to try and get some damage on there as well, and to be able to poison things a little bit easier. So it's tricky which way I want to go. I believe I do have a potion of clearance if I needed to reset my stuff for taking on this Leshen. I believe I bought one of those already, so I'll just have a quick look. No, I hadn't bought one yet, so I'll need to buy one of those just to be prepared in case I need to do that. In case I'm not able to beat the Ancient Leshen and I want to switch things up a little bit. So I'll do that in a little bit later. But for now, I'm just going to go with Exploding Shield, I think. And we'll try that there. Okay. Now that also has the advantage of going with that Greater Blue Mutagen to give me a bit of extra sign intensity, which again is going to make it a little bit easier to burn things. And I can do a little bit of damage with my Exploding Quen there as well. So just going to sell some stuff to this guy. He has a lot of money, so he's normally available to sell things, and until you get to Toussaint, which you can do quite early, but until you get there, he's one of the better people to sell things to. So I'll just clear some inventory space. First things first, I just want to check what everything dismantles to, because there are some ingredients that are particularly useful to dismantle and get. Don't need silver particularly, but when it's particularly cheap to get them from dismantling stuff like this, I might as well do a couple. So I'll get some silver ingots that way. And that sword is quite useful, so I'll just be hanging on to that one. So I've got quite a lot of silver there. Now I don't need particularly a lot of iron ingots or anything like that. But while some of them are particularly cheap to dismantle again, I'll just dismantle a couple of those. And these are the ones that you really want. So if you get things like this that dismantle into dimeritium, or then I will keep those until later and dismantle those with a Master Craftsman, because that's more useful. Master Craftsmen tend to give double the amount of stuff, so if it's something particularly valuable like that, dark steel plates and draconic leather, I will just save those as well, and again dismantle those with a Master Craftsman later. But the stuff that's not dismantling into anything special, I can sell all of that. It's worth me just getting a little bit of dark iron ore and things like that. They're worth dismantling, and then the rest of it I'll just probably sell. So I'm going to sell some things but keep some others as well. So the couple of chest pieces that do dismantle into useful stuff, I'm going to go and stash those before I go to Skellige. But the rest of the stuff I'll just sell to clear some inventory space and get a bit of extra money, now that the dismantling is done. Now again, I'm playing a No Armour playthrough, so I can't actually enchant any armor or anything like this, so there's not much point in me really keeping these glyphs. So I could sell all of them, but I don't know, for some reason I find it difficult to be that ruthless with selling everything. So I'm just going to keep some, but yeah, to be perfectly honest, that is for no real reason, so silly me. Right, so I'm going to sell the rest of the swords to the blacksmith around the corner. And there's nothing else particularly that I can or want to sell to this guy at the time being. But again, stocking up on crowns as we go, and we'll end up with quite a bit more there. So that's absolutely fine. And we are, getting more crowns as we go. You can see there that very briefly I was just checking how many crowns I had, and after I've spoken to this blacksmith guy, I'll have even more. So this guy normally pays at around 11 or 12ish. So sometimes you have to meditate for him to be about. So yeah, sometimes you just have to meditate a couple of times. And there he is. So again, in the same way that the armourer around the corner is the best place to sell early on, the Oxenfurt and Novigrad blacksmiths both give the best prices in Velen as well, so you want to be doing that too. Now again, I'm just going to keep these swords that dismantle into dimeritium, or the ones that have other interesting qualities that I could use. I'll put those in my stash and deal with those later. Again, I find that you have loads of these lesser triglav runestones, so you could sell a bunch of these because you're never going to use those, so I'll just sell a couple there. So I'm not short on crowns already, and already we're looking a lot healthier for the amount of crowns and everything that we have. So I don't want to dismantle anything just yet, but I do want to make sure that everything's repaired, and also craft the griffin swords, assuming I have the ability to do that. So I'm going to make the griffin steel sword so that when I reach level 11 I can use that, and the same for the griffin silver sword. So we've got those, and I've already beat this guy at cards, so I'm not going to play him right now, and we're just going to make our way back to being able to stash stuff and everything else like that again. So I'll just pay a visit to the alchemist on this ring road, because again that's a very useful person to visit whenever you're around here. Because he has some useful recipes, but you can also sell things to him. I can't remember if he gives actually good prices, but I can have a quick double check while I'm here and see if it's worth selling anything there as well. Hey Sabu, how you doing, man? Nice of you to tune in. Glad to have you with me as I'm continuing on this Deathmarch walkthrough. So just seeing what this guy's got. I don't think there was anything else that I was particularly bothered about having, especially from this guy, especially from, you know, the amount that it can cost to buy from him. But enhanced swallow is a good one, and enhanced full moon 38 crowns is like virtually nothing, so I might as well get those as well. Right, so let's see what prices this guy gives. 7 for Dwarven Spirit is a good amount, so that shows that it's an alchemist who gives decent prices. So I've actually got 101 Dwarven Spirit there, as you can see, so I can afford to sell a few of those, and also the alchemist powders and stuff like that. So can sell a few of those, and I'll be sure to pick more of those up because you get quite a lot of them. And same for the powders, so just going to sell a few of those. And again, just gradually building up the money as we go. Always good to see. So, going to go back, sort everything out in the stash, and that'll be pretty much all I need to do for now, I think. And then I can try and make my way to Skellige. I'm just going to make these new recipes that I've got there, because I might as well make the swallow as soon as possible. Doesn't need anything particularly rare there at all. So that's a good one to make. I haven't found the full moon potion yet, so hopefully I find that at some point. But you need to have fought some night wraiths to be able to get that anyway, because you need the dark essence. Full moon increases your maximum vitality, so again that's a kind of useful one. The superior one is useful and has a extended duration as well. So just going to dump all this stuff in the stash, and then we'll be carrying on. I'll just keep the griffin swords on me for now. And then everything else that was just getting dismantled I'll get rid of. I'm going to save these bolt with bait. I may find some use for them later. I've just realised that one of the things I do need to do just on the way back is to go and craft some more broadhead bolts, because they're extremely useful. So I'm just going to switch that crossbow. It doesn't really make a lot of difference because the crossbow doesn't do a ton of damage anyway. But it's always good to have that. So going to be carrying on now. Right, now just back to the blacksmith and create some of those broadhead bolts first. And then I'll be going to Skellige. So yeah, be sure to let me know how things are going. Any questions you have or about why I'm doing anything that's not picked up in the commentary, feel free to be asking that as well. And I'm just going to make my way back here and do this first. Even though I've been to Novigrad a load of times, sometimes it's easy to get turned around, especially while I'm doing other stuff. Right, so I'm just going to head round to the left and make some of these broadhead bolts. I actually did one of my many YouTube videos about Witcher 3 is getting to Skellige early. You can get to Skellige early and you can get to Toussaint early fairly easily, as long as you know what you're doing. And there are definite advantages to having both. Going to Skellige early lets you get all the places of power, and going to Toussaint early gets you a few places of power as well. And even though there's a high level giant that you have to fight to get into Toussaint, one of the little Easter eggs or secrets is that you can always kill a giant by shooting them in the visor. So that's a useful thing to do, because you can just beat that giant no problem at all. So steel ingots, silver ore, feathers, and monster saliva. We've got a few of those, so we're able to make some broadhead bolts. I'll just make 2 sets of them before I forget, because I've been making good use of those on the playthrough. So now we have easily enough money, and we have the tools that I would need to be going to Skellige. So I'm going to be doing that next. Loot this stuff if there's no guards around. This is one of the things about Novigrad. If you want to have the time to spend just running around, which I would do on a normal playthrough. I haven't done so much on this, but I would do on a normal playthrough. Because it's a great idea of how to make money and everything else, and it's really good for that. So I'm going to pick up a couple of contracts there, and then I'm going to go into the pub, and then that is where we can talk to the drunk captain, pay him, and then go to Skellige, and we'll try that out next. Again, poison blades is a really useful skill to have here. I don't actually have it equipped yet. One of the things that I wanted to do was actually get a potion of clearance. I believe I said that, and then I got distracted and I forgot to do. It's a bit of a shame about the buffering. This is just being streamed through the Xbox, so unfortunately there's not a lot I can do about that, I'm afraid. But let's have a look at this. I could always fast travel back if I need the potion of clearance, and I am finding it difficult to actually beat the Ancient Leshen, so I'm not going to run around now, because I run back and get one of those because it would take a bit of time. So let's have a go. And do this bit first, and then we're going to go straight to Skellige. So this will be quite tricky again, but I'm hoping with the use of bombs, the broadhead arrows and everything else, I'll be able to make my way there. One of the more beautiful little shots in the game. Pretty much everybody screenshots that, I think, because it's one of the nice little things to be able to do. So just going to be doing this, and then we will wake up and we'll be in the midst of being attacked. I can try and beat these guys. So again, the normal stuff is going to be extremely useful. It's going to be the Tornial to keep my health up, and Gourmet as well, to be able to recover any health that I lose. And I'll be trying to use those type of things to poison and beat the enemies. So yeah, we'll have a see. Now, because of the level of going here and me being level 10, there might be red skull enemies, which will make it a little more difficult. So if that's the case, I'm going to have to be extremely careful. I probably could have done with being level 11, but if I remember, these enemies at this bit, even though it's a level 14 quest, they are actually on level 16 quest, they're only level 14 enemies. So we'll have to see. So yeah, that first pirate was, I don't know if you just saw there, but that first pirate was only level, let's have a look, 15, so they should not be red skull enemies, and that should be okay. So let's see how we go. So just going to put Quinn on first. I'm just going to try and get a lot of hits in and keep that up. A lot of dodging and everything else. It's the guys with the maces are extremely dangerous, so I'm just going to keep dodging around them. Now the other NPCs will do some damage there as well, so I'll try and get some hits in. And as you can see there, I did lose a lot of health when I got hit, so I'll have to be careful. I do have the ability which lets me guard against... see, I've got the poisoning from the Viper Sword there, which is extremely useful. So I do have the ability to guard against the... Hold on, let's parry this guy. I do have the ability to parry some of the attacks, so I'm just going to stay guarding. And I do have the ability... sorry, I'm just trying to concentrate on these things at the same time, which makes it a little difficult. But yeah, one of the other things I do have is the ability to parry arrows. So I have that because, again, that's something that's very useful on a No Armour playthrough. And you can see that using the bombs and everything else, able to wind these guys down. You can use Axie to hit this guy. And that was actually like relatively painless. So you are able to take 1 or 2 hits, even if you are on deathmatch. Even though they did most of my health with Gourmet and the enhanced swallow, I was able to get my health back, carry on dodging, And that was one of the reasons that I used the arrow deflection skill in this playthrough as well, because without armor, deflecting the arrows is extremely useful, because they can do a fair amount of damage if you have no piercing resistance at all. So use the arrow deflection and the poisoning and burning from the bombs and igni, and was able to do that, so that's pretty useful. So we're just going to not fight this guy, because again you'd have to get into a pretty difficult fist fight. So we're just going to not slap him. He can say what he wants about Yen, they're only words anyway, and then we'll carry on. So now I've made it to Skellige, and I have free reign of Skellige, which is extremely useful. I'm going to get all the places of power and then try and take on that Ancient Leshen decoction. There's loads of useful stuff to pick up here, and the most important thing is just to make my way over this way and loot the captain. So you can see there you got all of the crowns there, and grilled pork, which is actually very useful as well with the gourmet ability. Yeah, I can show these skills that I'm using. It's going to be a good time to show it anyway, because I'm going to be switching them up when I get these places of power anyway. But let me have a quick look. So first of all, what I want to do is just make sure that I've got the broadhead bolts and the hybrid oil, because I'm going to be fighting these hybrids and try and get the echidna decoction as well. Okay, so for skills that we've got at the moment, I've got exploding shield, and that's paired with a greater blue mutagen, and then we've got acquired tolerance and gourmet, which are both great for utility. And as you can see, we've got arrow deflection, the extra damage from muscle memory, and undying. And so undying is very useful for when you've got adrenaline as well. So what I'm trying to get to is, if I can get the Ancient Leshen decoction, I will get down to Aard Sweep, which will be extremely useful. Otherwise I could go with poison blades and go down the alchemy tree, but that's not only extremely powerful, but I do that on pretty much every playthrough. So I'm going to be trying some things a little bit differently, and just focusing on the sort of dodging and tactics type theme that I've been using so far. So that's really useful. So what I've got now is I should be able to pick up all this stuff. There's usually a Divana runestone in my up there, and that was one of the things I did. And Divana runestones are full, so I'll be putting one of those as well. I'm just level 11, so I've just got another skill point there, but I have a slot to be able to yet. I get to that. I'm going to actually try taking out these things, so I'll try it without wasting head bolts first. Bolts, I might as well just use them straight away. So I'm going to try and fight these things one at a time. Just going to make sure that it saves it first, and then I'm going to be carrying on. So I've just been using the auto save slot for the most part, but I think what I might do for this bit is I want to be making a manual save anyway, so I'll just do that now. Right, so now the thing that we want to be doing is taking out all of these things, and although they are a lot higher level than us, it shouldn't actually be that difficult. I was actually surprised the first time I tried this, because I was trying to see, you know, how you would go about beating these things and if it was possible, and it's actually shockingly easy some of the time. Now I'll probably set myself up for dying there just by being that cocky, but let's have a see. They're normally not so bad, because you can inflict them with bleeding and usually burning and poisoning as well. So that's why these Viper swords are so good on Death March. You can use them for like a really long time. So there you can see it got the bleeding on it, and with the poisoning as well, it just becomes a lot of damage over time. And you can hit these things, and you can see that one, even though they're enormously they're a little bit higher level than me, it's just really not that difficult to wear them down. So the bleeding and the poisoning does an absolute metric ton of damage to them, and it just gradually wears them over time. So you can make sure that you're using the broadhead bolts and the poisoning to do that, and they go down pretty easily. You can also take a swipe at them. You see that one just died from the poisoning there again. And when you hit them with the bleeding from the broadhead bolts, they just take a ton of damage. So these ones, because I'm actually quite a similar level to them, are not that difficult. And I was able to take out all of those pretty easily, so yeah. Not regretting my bold words about how easy they are just yet. Load of good stuff to pick up here as well. And again, that's another theme of this playthrough. If you're using the tactics correctly, one of the things I've really been enjoying is I've been able to beat most things, as long as they're not, you know, Red Skull enemies, so everything has been proven an interesting but not overwhelming challenge so far. So got a few useful things from the sirens there, and then I want to be saving it before I continue, not because the fight against the echidna is going to be particularly difficult, but more because I need to make sure that I get the echidna mutagen from it, because that's the main reason I want to fight it. There's not much point in fighting it otherwise, but it is a seriously good mutagen and decoction to have early on. So if assuming that I am able to get that decoction from this thing, then what I'll be doing is I'll be switching to using 2 decoctions and then the potions on top of those. See, now the wraiths, no, they're a little bit tricky, but like impossible to kill without no oils and a sign. They are a lot easier to kill if you're using Erden, absolutely, but you can still beat them. You can just dodge. They do, even though you normally need the sign to make them what's the word, corporeal, to be able to hit them so they actually take a form. They will occasionally go corporeal eventually and let you get some hits in anyway, but yeah, that's quite difficult to do. Why were you trying to take them out without a sign or anything, out of interest? Was there a particular reason or something that you were trying to do that with? Just out of curiosity. So what I'm going to do is I've grabbed all this stuff now. I'm just going to stick with these Viper Swords for now, because again you can normally poison this echidna, and that's extremely useful. And I made those extra broadhead bolts, so I shouldn't have a problem with that. So I'm just going to collect this stuff, and then I'm going to save it first. And then I'm going to try and take out the siren as well. Just going to make all this stuff first. Always useful to make things like that. I don't think I have any need for the saltpeter at the minute, so the dimeritium bomb, I could make it, but I'm going to save the Stammelfell's dust, because that's actually the least useful bomb in my opinion, by like quite a long way. It doesn't really do anything. Enhanced Black Blood is a useful one, so I will make that. I'm not able to make these yet because I don't have any Arinia eyes, so I'll just have to do that a little bit later. Okay, so I'm just going to reapply the oil again, then I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to try and take on the echidna. Now this will be a Red Skull enemy, but it should be fine. So see if it'll auto-save now, which it will. So that's useful. I'm just going to turn it off, because turn it back up to 15 minutes because I don't want it to autosave immediately after this fight. I want to check that I actually get the mutagen from it first, because the whole reason I'm doing this is, again, the actual mutagen. So this thing comes out, and I'll try and take this out as well. So I've reapplied my hybrid oil and Quen. I'll take it out, and then whilst it's knocked down from that, it's got some bleeding, and there again you can see it's already taken a reasonable amount of damage. Even though my actual strikes aren't doing too much, I can keep it down on the ground with the bleeding from the arrows, so I'll just use the regular ones to keep it grounded whilst that is the case. And as you can see, even though it's a Red Skull enemy, it didn't do like a ton of damage to me. I was still able to recover that fairly well, and Gourmet will make up for that, and I have the Enhanced Swallow as well. And I can just use Quen to make sure that I'm not taking unnecessary damage from the bleeding or poisoning that it inflicted. So again, you can see there that it just came up with poisoning, and I hit quite a few critical hits on it there as well, and it's already down to half health, and I've already recovered mine. So I'll just be using the regular bolts to keep it knocked down. It's taking tons of damage from the bleeding and poisoning there, and even though this is a really high level Red Skull enemy, even on deathmatch you can take it out pretty easily. And just in case you are wondering if it is deathmatch, because it does seem very easy, you can see there that it was. So always useful to do. Take it down and just keep going like that. Managed to hit the poisoning on it, and that should be all she wrote, because the poisoning actually does a ton of damage, and we're able to take it out. So now that that thing's down, we want to find where it dropped its loot, and hopefully we get the Echidna mutagen, and that is exactly what I wanted. So you get the Echidna mutagen, and this is what's absolutely brilliant, is being able to use this this here. And I'm going to make that decoction straight away and use it from now on. So that's really good, an extremely useful one to be able to use. So I'll see how it goes, but I mean, with Gourmet and the Echidna decoction, I'll have an absolute ton of healing. So it should be no problem at all for the rest of the playthrough. That should be extremely helpful. And now I'm going to try and get the Ancient Leshen decoction as well, and collect all the places of power in Skellige. So that's going to be my next set of trips. So I want to get the fast travel stuff as well. You can buy maps in Skellige that get you the fast travel straight away. So we're going to find that too. Yeah, the Echidna, is it the Echidna you're talking about, Sabu? You're saying you think it's about level 19? That is indeed the level of the Echidna, and that's why you're able to get the mutagen from it. So we're just going to ride all this way in Skellige. If you do come to Skellige early, one of the advantages of doing this is that you can do the horse races. So if you don't have Hearts of Stone and didn't get all of the stuff from that, one of the very useful things you can do is win the horse races and get all the best horse gear for free. The only horse gear that's better than the Skellige stuff you win in the races is the stuff you saw. Point to buy all of these. But they're full anyway, so just going to carry on. Read all these first, so we do have these. And then and you have the fast travel again, so that's useful as well. And then we can just ride to where we need to go. Don't want to nick those things just yet. Where's Roach gone? Where have you gone, sweetie? There she is. And of course she tries to ride through the stall. Okay. Right, so now we've got all these markers. I didn't really need that money for anything else. We still have 6,000 crowns. I'm not even trying to be particularly careful with money at the minute, so I can use those no problem. That's not going to cause an issue. Now this guy in Kertrold is one of the ones who gives really good prices. The innkeep, you can sell hides and things to him. Again, another advantage of coming to Skellige early. So got all this stuff. You can get the notice board here, and then I can see about getting the Ancient Leshen decoction, and I'll go around and collect all of the stuff that I need in Skellige, namely the places of power first. I really love doing that and coming to Skellige early. Woodland Spirit, that's the one. The Hearts of the Wood is the regular Leshen that you fight in Novigrad. So yeah, it's that I really wanted to get this time. So get some more orange there. And that's the quest that I want to be doing. So I'll go and do that next. Now again, that is Red Skull, so that'll be pretty tricky. I'll have to see how it goes. So we shall see. Okay. Greetings. I'm going to be carrying on with this and see how it goes. Of course, you can play everybody for cards as well in Skellige, so opens up more people to be able to beat. I think I will switch to the Nilfgaard deck when I get a few more cards, because I do love that deck. It's a lot of fun, especially with it being very heavy on the spies. So I've got quite a few things there that will be useful. Don't have any spies myself, which is a bit of a shame. But I was able to switch for one there, and I'll definitely keep that Biting Frost, and I should be able to win this, I would think. So he's played a 5 first, which means that I can play these with no problem. Always play the muster cards before you play the spies, because you don't want the spies to pull in other stuff first. So I will never understand why they ever play that Kayran card in the middle row. It's really weird to me, but never mind. Right, so they've passed there, which means this is an easy win for me. And I still have the Biting Frost for the next round, so it looks like he's going to give me this one pretty easily, because I'll have 2 more cards than him, which means I can save the Biting Frost until right at the end. Unless he has a medic card, he'll not be able to play the decoy back. That shouldn't be an issue. I will actually just try and waste some of his cards. If I can get him, I only need like one of these, so if I can get him to play his leader card, that'll be absolutely fine. Because then I could just go on to the next round and be able to use that here. So I'll just see how we go, because I have lots of options here. I've got the Biting Frost, and I've also got the Villain Tretameth, which is the absolute best card to get against this thing. So I'll see what he plays first, but I'll be able to replay it and take out a bunch of cards with the decoy as well. So first things first, I'll be able to take these out, and then I'll be able to decoy it back. And if he doesn't play a stronger card than a card 4 on the first row, which he hasn't done, I'll be able to take Villain Tretameth back and then play it again. So it's looking pretty bad times for our friend here, because his 88 is about to go down to 32. So sad times. Unlucky. And now he's passed, so obviously he loses there as well. And then we just win against him. So fairly fortunate there. He played things in a little bit of a weird order, so able to beat him. See what card I get. I actually got that fantastic Karen card, so yeah. That's a really great card if you are using the monster deck. So anyway, like I said, this guy, he has some cards to buy, which are kind of useful. Again, monster cards. So he's got really, really useful cards there. He's got another Scorch which can add to the deck, and a Botchling. But the main draw for me, for this guy, is that he buys things for really high prices. So if I always keep a pig hide so that I can check how much people are selling stuff for, and see if it is somebody who gives good prices like he does, and then you can sell this stuff. So there's a lot of things here that I can sell and get back from him. So I'll sell some of the hides and make a good amount of money that way. So I've got some bear hides to sell, and old bear hides that I've just sold there, and so made a good amount of money there. I can get rid of this stuff. So load of good stuff there. Managed to sell a load of things, free up some inventory weight, and get a load of good stuff there as well. So that's really useful. And got a bunch more money. Right, so now I want to be carrying on. I'm going to go and get the places of power, so I have as many ability points as possible. Sort out what skills I want to be using before I go and do what is necessary to beat the Ancient Leshen, and then take that out. So again, it might be useful if I had one more level, so I could put another skill in there before I find the Ancient Leshen, but I'll try it without first and see how it goes. There are lots of places of power available in Skellige, so I could always just go back to Novigrad for one more level, because the main quests give you a ton of leveling up anyway. So the things that I want to do to get the places of power, there is one along here. First I just want to get the notice board so I know exactly where I'm going and all that kind of stuff. So I'll fast travel to Ramvig first and go here, get both of the notice boards there, and then I'll go and collect this stuff. So this is going to be a bit of a, you know, run and fetch or all that kind of thing. A lot of places of power to get, but I should be able to get all of them within the space of this one episode. So we'll see how that goes. Depending on how long this ends up being, it may be a fairly extensive episode, but we'll see how it goes. Now you can do the horse races up here as well and get some horse gear. But I'll do that a little bit later, because the blinders are like totally pointless anyway. They don't really add a whole lot, so I'm not that bothered about those. So got that there. I'll need to be trying to remember where the places of power are. I could consult one of my previous videos, but I mean, there's one here for a start, and there's one around here somewhere near a fast travel marker, so I'll do that. And then I'll have to remember where the other ones are. There is one up here in Skellige, and there is one up here. This is one. So there's a fair few that I can get. I'll have to remember where the others are. There's one down here somewhere in Harbekin as well. So that's most of them. I'll have to try and remember where the others are a little bit later, but should be able to get plenty of them just from memory. And like I say, my Deathmarch walkthrough, I had about going to Skellige and the places of power that you can pick up there as well. So I may just consult that so I can remember where the last ones are. I think there are 9 in total, and 2 of them you get from the one you get from the quest if you choose to have Ceres as the ruler, that you can't get otherwise. So there's definitely that one. We'll have to see. Just going to ride Roach all the way over to this notice board. You can kill these cows and get the cow hides as well, and the same for the pigs if you want to try and get some extra money. That's always useful. I'm not going to take the time, because otherwise this is going to be quite a lengthy playthrough anyway, so we'll see how we go. Just Gonna jump over here. Bunch of different stuff to be able to get. I'm just going to ignore all these optional quests for now, because like I say, I'm just sort of looting at the minute. No guards around, so just grab that stuff, might as well. There's a bunch of different stuff to grab in the houses as well, like you get a lot of good stuff just from looting in Skellige, because normally it's sort of the mid-game portion, so you get quite a lot of useful stuff just from looting. And so the advantage of coming here early is that sometimes you can loot some really good stuff as well, including a lot of alcohol and things like that to sell. So let's have a look. Yeah, because you get the other one is the Sunstone quest. That's one of these up here that's in a cave that you get a lot later, and this one is the one that you get from so one of these ones over here is the Sunstone one. So these two you actually get a lot later. So that's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Got one already, which is here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's one I'm missing somewhere. Ah, the one up here on the path. So I think that's all of them actually. So let's find that. So that's 1. Let's have a look. Custom markers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's all of the Skellige ones. So yeah, I'll be able to get those just from memory. So I'm going to fast travel over here and then ride around and get this one. It's this one actually, but I might just ride to this one first. I can actually just ride round. If I ride round this path, I can actually just ride to this one and then fast travel over to this side, which will save a little bit of time. So let's do that first. So need to run straight ahead. Follow this round. There, like I say, that you can talk to the bounty hunter there to pick that up, but not a big deal. Where are you, Roach? Come here, babe. Grab a bunch of rib leaf and stuff like that. Don't think I need that for anything particular, but kind of useful to have anyway. And I believe if I'm riding this way around, this will be the way that takes me up to the place of power near where the druid is. One of the interesting things about coming to Skellige really is you can get some good little Scoia'tael cards as well. And if you're able to do the Red Skull quests with Gremist for the alchemy ones, you can play him at Gwent, and he gives you the best Gwent card in the game, in my opinion, which is the Mysterious Elf, which is a hero card, spy, 0 score, can't be decoyed back, so the opponent can't play it against you. It's an absolutely brilliant card, so I do love that one. So now we just want to find the druid camp, which is here. Loot this stuff and grab the place of power that's just over here. Get a few useful things there. The druids don't count as guards, so you can just loot this stuff with no problem. And pick up some more stuff to be able to sell and all that crap. And like I say, if I really wanted, I would try and do Practicum of Alchemy later when I'm still lower level, but I'm not too fussed this time, so we'll have a see. I might do it a little bit later just for a challenge because I enjoy stuff like that. I was able to do it with the starting armor at an extremely low level one time, so I probably would be able to do it well enough. So so it's not this one, it's not that one, it's just this that we were wanting. So that's the one, and now I just want to fast travel there. Now here you get a place of power and the mastercrafted griffin diagrams to allow you to make the mastercrafted griffin armor later, and it is guarded by a very high level cyclops, but you can avoid the cyclops entirely, so it's not a big deal. So I'll just be putting Quen on and then riding past him and trying to avoid him entirely. Just loot the stuff from this little village because there's very little chance I'll actually be coming back to this fast travel marker later or anything like that. Get a bunch more stuff for meditating, dwarven spirit and things like that, which is always useful. But I haven't even used my alkahest up yet, and you very, very rarely do because you get so much alkahest, and even if you did use it up, you'd never need any other type of alcohol other than dwarven spirit because you get hundreds of that as well if you're just looting quite often. So we're just going to ride Roach up this way, and then we should be able to ride past all of these harpies and then go fairly easily to avoid them unless Roach gets stuck on a tree again. You see I've got that beautiful Ophiri saddle that we got right at the start, and the Ophiri saddlebags as well. So Roach is kitted out and looking pretty good there. So we're just going to ride all the way past this Cyclops before it even wakes up. Dart straight into the cave. Avoid the harpies. He's already awake, but able to get up there anyway. And then hopefully dodge and get away from the Cyclops before he can hit me. Come on, Roach. Except I'd ridden Roach far too close to the actual thing there, so you can always just dismount a little bit earlier. I forgot that she can actually block you from getting in there. I expected her to move afterwards, but never mind, Roach. So yeah, if you want to get past the Cyclops, just make sure that you don't leave Roach right past the entrance there. But, I know, good game. But it's otherwise very easy to be able to do that. And to avoid the Cyclops, I'll do that now. Grab the place of power, and then I'll ride Roach away and be able to get away. Bit of unfortunate timing there, but again, sometimes you can dodge past Roach or roll past her, and sometimes she's just an immovable object and won't let you move, so never mind. Never mind. Just going to carry on with this and then collect the other places of power. So if you do go to Skellige early, you find that you'll have so many places of power that you probably won't be able to fit all of the abilities that you unlock into slots until you level up a little bit. But that's fine, because it just means that you can use those to unlock some really powerful later abilities from the second and third tiers of the skills, and just equip them instead of the basic skills, and that'll be very useful as well. So like, although the arrow deflection skill is useful against human enemies, I don't need it a lot of the time. So you could always have other stronger or more useful skills in that slot, and then switch them about as you needed until you have enough skill slots to be able to slot them all. So same again. We're just going to get Roach. This time she doesn't get stuck. And I'll dismount her a little bit earlier, put Gwen on, and then just run for the gap and go through there. Which, if you have enough gap between you and these little hybrids, the harpies chasing you, it should be no problem. So, ride Roach, get a bit of space between them, and then as the Cyclops wakes up, get Gwen on and just make a roll for it, and that's what you'd normally do, and it's very easy to actually get away there. So. You can get away, and then you'll be able to pick stuff up once the Cyclops backs off a bit. Okay, so we're able to get up there, no problem. Get the Aard place of power, and there is the Griffin chests there that you can get stuff from. So I've got a load of useful stuff there, and then the Griffin armors there. Now you can come down this way, nice and safe. Avoid this thing. Get Quinn on, and then summon Roach, and be out of harm's way pretty quickly, as long as Roach actually comes down. She's being a bit tricky here. If I can get her off the actual, be able to summon her again, but she's just at the minute, so. Harpies are on 13, so they're not that difficult. There's not much point in these things yet, anything particularly good from them. But so might as well try and kill them. That one's going to bleed to death very shortly. These things probably aren't Irenias, so they're just the regular harpies, which is a bit of a shame. But Exploding Shield coming in useful there, because Exploding Shield can actually knock them out of the air as well. So, all good fun and games. So I might as well kill these things. Occasionally there is an Irenia like in a group of the harpies, so it can be useful for that. But there's a bunch of things you can do that are very useful against these things, like Aard and Axie are both extremely useful against them. Okay, so that one's down. Because Axie will sometimes let you get an instant kill, like that. So that's really useful against them as well. So unfortunately with these being regular harpies, it does look like they're not going to be particularly useful, but I can kill them anyway. Killed most of them now, so I might as well. I'll run down and get this one first, and then I can come back and kill the other one when they actually gets to be somewhere that I can hit him. Got that one poisoned, so that shouldn't be much of a problem. Instant kill that one with Axie, which is, like I say, one of the best tactics to use against them. And then finish this one off with a couple of strikes. Alright, so, again, get a few things from them. Nothing particularly useful, but might as well take them out, since I took out the rest. Now down this way there's another fast travel marker, and I believe it's the actual whale graveyard, and there are some human enemies to fight, and also a little bit further on you can fight level 18 or 19 drowned dead or things like that, and they can be pretty useful for fighting because they can, let me just kill these humans first, they can give you lesser red mutagens, which is really useful. So put this stuff on, kill these guys. I can knock him out with the deflection first, and then he's less of a problem. That's why that deflection skill is kind of fun and quite useful. And then kill these guys with fire damage. Parry these dudes as well. And if I can get poisoning or anything else on them like that, that's useful. Bit of dodging, same as always. And the poisoning finished him off. Kill this guy without the shield first, and then be able to take this guy out with either parries or Axie. Axie's one of the best way to kill people one-on-one, so if you have the patience, just wait for him, stun them, and then usually they will get killed like that. And as you saw, I just got a chunk of health back there from using the Echidna decoction, and the sign cast used up my stamina as well, and gave me a bunch of health back. So that's what's really fantastic about the Echidna decoction, and makes it extremely useful. So another bunch of good stuff to get there, and another tactic that's available to us, and a bunch of good stuff that it can sell or craft or whatever and make use of. So load of stuff to do there. I believe there is a fast travel marker down here somewhere, so just try and find that first. A couple of other people there. Try and get an execution on this guy first if I can. No luck, unfortunately. But I've got poisoning on him, so that's going to be useful. I can keep him in that cloud of poison in there, and that will do a fair amount of damage. And they have to walk through the poison cloud to get to me, so that'll do a big chunk of damage to them as well, and we'll finish them off. So that poisoning is extremely useful. Another good thing to take out there. Now if you're in Skellige, you do have to be very careful of the wolves and stuff like that. So like these will be high level white wolves, and whilst the hides are very valuable and useful to get, they're probably a little bit much for me to take on at the moment, so I'll just leave those for now. Right, so with those places of power and a couple of other things taken out there, I can take these off the map and just go and get the other ones. So I've already got this one. I can't get these two just yet, so I'll just take those off. But they're all accounted for, so I know what else we can be able to get now. So, a couple of the things I want to do. I'll go and get that one last because that's right near a place of power. Right near a travel point, sorry. So that can be the last one. Kerberos, what is my total playtime in this game? It is some ungodly amount of hours, like crazy amount of hours. I think in total I played about 60 days or something ridiculous like that. That's just a bit of a guess because it was at 1.54 days the last time I checked, so that's 54 24-hour days, which is an insane amount. I've played it about 5 or 6 times through, and then all the time that I've done the start of the game or the start of New Game Plus to test out new builds before making videos on them. So like there is a ton of stuff that I've done in this game. So yeah, always fun. I should go to Arinbjorn while I'm here as well, because I want to get the Tala card. So what I'll do is I'll just play this guy first, and then I'll go and get the Place of Power, and then I'll go and get the Tala card after. So probably should add that second Scorch to my deck, but I'm okay for now. Plenty of good cards there, I can deal with that. I really feel like the Scoia'tael deck should have been like a little bit better. Like instead of the choosing to go first, I think it should have had a bonus card instead of being a leader ability. That should have been its like latent ability, and that would have been a lot better. Or the ability to pick one specific card from your deck that wasn't already in your hand, so you could always start with Mysterious Elf or something like that. I'll just see if he has a clear weather, and if not, I should be able to just forfeit this round. Won't be too much of an issue. Okay, so win that one pretty easily. Get an extra card here and start off with the cow card as well. Might just try and win this outright. I can always try and bleed them of a few cards first. Keep the Yennefer one for last, so that if I need, I can use that at the end. Depending on what cards they have last, I should be able to win this pretty easily. Make them waste whatever cards they got there at the end. I can always replay that spy if I needed and get more cards to be able to beat them later on. Have left. Back, that's always fun. No problem there. Give me a card, and then I can go on my way and collect this place. That's a really bad card. I think that's one of the really pointless Nilfgaard cards, if I remember. But never mind. I thought I'd set a marker for that notice board, but obviously not, so I'll just have to do that first. It's just up this way. I'll go and grab that. I really hate running up this path, but never mind. Very boring. Alright, off we go. Which Gwent deck is the best? I think that Northern Realms and Nilfgaardian are very difficult to choose between. They're both really powerful, and you can't really tell which is best because the Gwent AI is never the best, really. So neither of those is a particular challenge. We were actually having a sort of argument or discussion about this on the Game FAQs message board recently, and I was saying that really I think people have more problems with Sasha than they do with the Halfling in the high stakes, and that just goes to show that Nilfgaard is, when it's all got all the cards and is done properly, is just as powerful, or maybe even the best of any of those decks. And Nilfgaard I feel is really consistent. It has so many different types of card, like the type bond on the melee row and the archer ones, and so many medics and heroes, and so many spies that you can always like bludgeon them just by having so many cards. Really, I feel like that's a definite advantage. So I do feel like that's probably one of the best Gwent decks, the Nilfgaard one. Right, so we're just going to ride down here and then go to Arimbion. Come on, Roach. Get another marker here from what I remember. You never end up coming back here if you don't do the quest with Hjalmar, because this is the area that you do for his quest, if I remember. So there is a bunch of stuff to loot, but I'm not really that bothered this time. I'll just hop off and grab the stuff down at the bottom, and then make my way over to Arimbion and get the Tala card. Enhanced Salmon, that's relatively useful as well. Another formula for acquired tolerance too. Now, since there are a couple of formulas around here, I actually may pick this stuff up, because there you see I got Full Moon, so that's an important one, because it lets me make the enhanced and other versions. So don't have the stuff to make that yet, because I haven't fought any Night Wraiths recently, so I need that for the Dark Essence. So I guess it is worth coming here and looting all this stuff, because there's actually a lot of the alchemy formulas here, so definitely worth doing, because I've just got 3 in a very short space of time. So I'm just going to loot the rest of this stuff, just so I'm not missing any other formulae, if there are any about. I can hear a Draconid somewhere. I think that's actually a Cockatrice, if I remember correctly, and it's about level 20. So that's good, because you can get a Cockatrice stomach if you need, so that's an area to remember, because you tend to need those for making the enhanced and superior Draconid oils, and there aren't that many of them about, so that's a good idea. For the enhanced Draconid oil, I always just wait until you get the one for free when you're doing the Eskel quest in Kaer Morhen, because you can pick up enhanced Draconid oil, so you can just get that and then make it into the superior oil, and that only uses 1 Cockatrice stomach, so you don't have to go hunting for them, which is useful. So just make sure I've got all this stuff. Got the enhanced moon dust as well, so I'll be sure to be crafting that. Just going to head back up and grab all this stuff. Check that there's no other formulae I have missed. I just really hadn't realised that there were that many formulae in this area, so that's always useful. You get a lot of good crafting items as well, so well worth making the trip. Coming this way and picking all that stuff up. Yeah, the Northern Realms deck is really good as well. You can't really go wrong with either of those. Plus you get the Northern Realms deck a lot earlier, because you start with it and you can get a lot of the good cards. I actually did a video on that too. You can get a really good Northern Realms deck very early on, so definitely worth doing. You get a lot of good loot in this area, so definitely worth coming here, I would say. Grab all this stuff. And then going to make some of those formulas that I just picked up. The enhanced moon dust is... I love the moon dust bomb. It's one of my favourite bombs. It's one of the ones that's useful against the most types of enemies. Fantastic against wraiths. Great against werewolves and other regenerating enemies like ghouls as well. Stops them regenerating. The stuff that you would sort of expect the Dimeritium bomb to do, really. But like the moon dust bomb does it instead, so much better. Okay, so I'll just make that stuff. And then we'll go. So I can make a few more there, so I'm going to make the enhanced moon dust first, and the enhanced salmon, and they'll be useful, and not using up anything particularly useful there apart from the Stammelford dust, so I might as well use that too. And then I'll be on to the superior bombs. Okay, so that's pretty good. A lot of useful things there, and I can just carry on to Arimbion. Just set a marker there as well. In fact, I've already got the fast travel marker there, so I might as well just fast travel, just to save having calling roach and going through all this area and everything else. So yeah, the Moondust Bomb's good against werewolves. Like I say, it's not. I don't think it's listed as one of their weaknesses, but it does stop enemies from. Whereas the Dimeritium Bomb says that it prevents magic, it does, but it also stops your signs from working in things, and it doesn't tend to work very well in the game. But the Moondust Bomb stops monster powers, like them being able to regenerate as well. So it's extremely useful for that. So we can loot these freely. Buy the Tala card from this guy. Love getting that. Not sure what kind of prices this guy gives, but seem pretty decent, so I'll sell that saddle to clear some inventory room as well. And that's one of the absolute best cards, so I add that to the deck straight away. And get it in the first draw, which is extremely useful as well. I've already got one Gaunt card, so I don't want to keep that one in there. Managed to get another Spy again, so that's absolutely brilliant. So they get a lot of cards because it gives them an extra card. They should be able to beat it, and I'll be able to use the as well. Now I don't have any medics or decoys yet, so hopefully the Tala card gives me a decoy so I can play Dijkstra back against them again. I've got 3 in my deck, so I've got a pretty good choice of pulling one of those or the medic, but I didn't get any of them, so that sucks. But able to win that pretty comfortably. And maybe get a medic now. Yes, so I got Yen as a medic, which is absolutely brilliant. That means I can... Let me have a look. Don't want to play any more of these yet. I'll save those for if I go to a round 3. I can force them to use a bunch of cards here. Well, at least that baited the Scorch a little bit. So my 17 to their 28, they go from having plus 11 to just plus 4 there, so that's helpful. And I could Scorch every single card on the board, which would be quite funny. So they would lose 8 and I would lose 5. But then that would let them play some stuff with medics, so I'll not bother doing that just yet. Unless they have another Torrential Rain, I should be absolutely fine here. I'll use this first. Now they could medic back a melee card and get like 12 off that or anything like that, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, I could have just saved it there, but it should be alright here. Unless they have a Torrential Rain, they'll lose anyway, so easy. Alright, so got all that stuff there and got the Tala card as well, which is very useful. Got another terrible monster card that I don't need, but never mind. And then I'm just going to go and get these last places of power. So can get them in pretty much any order I want now. Dancing Star and the Northern Wind Bomb, Sabu, yeah, they're extremely useful as well. Probably among my most used bombs. But a lot of them are very effective. The Northern Wind one's the best, because freezing's so powerful, but poisoning, burning makes Dragon Dream very useful as well as the Dancing Star. There's just a load of really good stuff that you can use, so always good. Okay, so just going to ride out and get the place of power on this island as well. She just takes the weirdest routes to get to you. Come on, Roach. Which side do I want to be riding? Other side. Got to get round this side of the mountain to be able to get this place of power, so we'll just follow this up. Just avoid all the enemies because some of them will be Red Skull or higher level than me, and you don't get anything particular from them because there's nothing that I'm particularly trying to get from enemies, so I'm just going to carry on with these. Another place of power here. Interesting little bit of trivia, if you didn't know, you can also pray here to the shrine and it usually changes the weather. It normally comes up with something that you can actually pray to it, but I forget how you do it. But yeah, you can actually change the weather here, I'm sure you can. Might be meditating actually, let's try it. Anyway, there's some way here where you can actually change the weather, which is fun, but we got the place of power, so that's the important thing. Is if you have something set to like Novigrad or something like that, when you're in one of the other areas, then the fast travel marker will be your objective, so you can just put a Novigrad quest on, because I'll just be going to the fast travel marker to get the one from Skellige, and then the fast travel marker to get the one on the northernmost island. So I might as well put that on now and follow the markers to the fast travels. You can also do a quest down here if you come to Skellige before you do the following the thread quest with Lambert, and do flesh for sale, which is the only time that you can actually do that. So that's interesting as well. Okay, so just going to get these last two places of power, and then I'll be trying that quest. So just waiting for this. If you destroy an item, you will recover any runestones in it. That's a useful tip actually. I'll be doing that with the Viper swords later, so that I can get the Divana runestones back and put them in the Griffin swords when I swap to those. I believe this guy plays Gwent from what I remember. Yeah. Well, that's useful because it's always a good idea to have more spies against Nilfgaard, so. And hopefully he'll play another one of those and then I can just scorch them all. But even if he's just got those two, I can I can get rid of them fairly comfortably. I think I probably will be doing those as well, so that would be useful. The Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. I love Blood and Wine so much. Hearts of Stone is really good as well, but I love Blood and Wine. It's amazing. Okay, so just going to have a bit of a spy battle here. See what I get from this first. And I can make a decision on what else I want to do after that. So I could scorch those for 12 points off, so he'd only have 20. Then he'd have 29, so I'd have to play 2 more cards. I think I might do that. And just get rid, so... Oh yeah, I did that backwards. Oh well, never mind. So if I play these together, that's 20, so that's another 15. Then just play Philippa and win. And still have extra cards, so that's useful. And I can use the decoys and the medic just to play the those two back again. So I'll play this first. I don't have my leader ability, which is something I need to remember. So I can play these and make him burn some cards. Keep Yennefer and the medic in case he plays any spies against me. And I have that Commander's Horn there as well, so that'll be useful. So either he's playing very, very cleverly, or he's playing, or he doesn't have any medics. So we'll use these up first. Scorch that. We can just play it back again. Okay. And win that pretty easily as well. I could medic that back and play it again, but there's no point, so... Get another 8 points, but not really that bothered. Just win that and get another card. I'll just grab this notice board and then go on as well. You can actually get busted by the guards around here, so I'm not going to loot any of this stuff unless I'm sure that I'm absolutely out of range of them. Doesn't appear to be anybody about now. It's all just crafting stuff anyway, it seems. Yeah, I am quite looking forward to the expansions, so playing those with no armor should be a good challenge as well. And then it'll be you know, more tactics to be able to put into operation and things like that. It's always fun. Enjoying this playthrough so far. It is a lot of use. See, it was worth me switching the Philippa card there because that was 10 points, but the muster card is actually 12 when you do it like that, so that's useful. I'll play the cow card first, which has the advantage of, you know, making them bleed out cards as well. And then I'll play Tala. Not getting a lot of decoy cards, which is odd. Shame that I don't have Villain Tretameth really, but never mind. Just waste, make them waste a couple more cards. and then should be able to win that pretty easily. Barring them like medicing the Tala card and stuff like that, and having more cards than me, I should be alright. And because they've not used medic on it yet, I would assume that they don't have it, so. Okay, so I'm just playing the cards in this order. I played the leader ability to make them use that up. And then can make sure that they didn't have a Scorch card to play by keeping their 6 scorecards as the highest one without playing my 12s like this. And then just obviously win that game. I believe that's one of the Nilfgaard spies, so that's useful. Have a look at which one that was. Okay, so I can add Vil. So there's a lot of good cards that you can add here. You can buy these ones as well, so I'll need to get those from some point. So we've got a reasonable Nilfgaard deck now, but still missing I've got all 3 spies now, so that's useful. I could actually start using Nilfgaard if I go and buy the rest of those cards. I think you buy them from the innkeeps, so I'll have to go and buy some of those so I can change it up a bit for Gwent. Because the Northern Realms deck is pretty good, but it's also quite straightforward and a little bit boring. So grab all this stuff and then I'll go. Again, a load of stuff, the Alchemy Paste and the Nilfgaardian Lemon and stuff like that. You get a lot of this stuff from looting in Skellige, and so the earlier you come, the more beneficial that is, because you're more likely to need the money early in the game, because I just find that the further you get into the game, the more money you end up having, so I'll just go with that. Okay, so I'll grab the Place of Power on this island, and then I'll carry on. I believe we've only got one more Place of Power to do after that. No guards about, just grab this stuff as well. Alchemist powders are always useful because you can sell those to alchemists, oddly enough, and make yourself a decent amount of money. Bless you. Random sneezing NPC. Just keeping an eye on these sort of mushroom things, because there are some that you can only pick up in Skellige that like Long Rube, which is what I'm missing for one of my potions. So I'll just keep an eye out for that. More likely to find Long Rube in the caves and stuff, but I'll keep an eye out for it as well. Just going to make my way up this way. This is where you do Keris's possession quest, or Ceres's possession quest. And you can just climb up here at the side and run around the back to get the Place of Power. Just be careful where you jump in so you don't jump off a ledge and fall down. And you can run all the way up here and get another Place of Power. Gotta be. Yes, you should. Again, absolutely beautiful, beautiful landscapes and views up here. Just such a great looking game, considering. I mean, it's not very old, but like it's a few years old, and it's still a lot better looking than most games, especially for the scope of the world and everything else. Absolutely fantastic. Gonna make my way back down here. And off we go. You can always kill the goats and get a lot of goat hides and stuff in Skellige as well. So you can always sell those and get a bit of extra crowns if you need. Follow this back to the fast travel. And then go and get what I believe is the last one that we need. Now there is a troll that we can fight here as well. And I give you a cave troll liver. I'll try and fight it anyway. So one-on-one fight, it shouldn't be too bad. Have a look. And then we'll try and take out the woodland spirit, I think. This is where you fight Olaf in the fist fighting quests, obviously. Which is good fun as well. Where are you, Roach? Come on. What the hell? Where are you, daft horse? Right, I'll just leave her over there. I can't be bothered. It's not that far to go. Now this is where the troll normally is. I think it's down here, so. I think that's a wraith if I remember correctly, so maybe a bear. They're somewhere around here. But anyway, this is the troll. I'll fight this first. Don't really need the echidna decoction, I wouldn't think, for one fight, but it doesn't really make a difference, so I'll use it anyway. I think you can inflict the trolls with bleeding as well, from what I remember, most of them, so try that out. You can see there I only did 122 with that. So you want to be using the strong attacks against trolls because they are armoured. I'll get some extra damage with the Thunderbolt. And the Exploding Shield will be helpful as well. Just keep going up because these things can do a lot of damage. I've got the poisoning from the Viper Sword there and the bleeding from the arrow, and they're both doing a lot of damage to it, which is very helpful. I've got the bleeding from the Divana Runestone and the poisoning, and you can see that it's just taking as much damage per second from the damage over times as it is from my actual strikes. So that's very useful. Absolutely love the enhanced Tournial. It lasts like considerably longer than the regular one. And Superior Tournial is, in my opinion, the best potion that you can have. And you can see that that Exploding Quen is dealing a bit of extra damage as well. So that is why I don't want to get hit by these things, because they're extremely dangerous. So on him with the bleeding and everything else, and then be able to finish him off. And I actually got a cave troll liver, which is exactly why I wanted to fight him. Well worth doing. So I can get my enhanced relic oil, and that's really useful. Now, was it long rube I was saying I needed for one of my bombs? I think it was. I'm saying you can sometimes find it on Skellige. Yeah, so I needed long rube there, just got those two. And made the grape shot as well. So getting a lot of alchemy stuff, and again, this is why I find it really useful if it's quite easy and quite possible to get to later periods of the game. You might as well try, because you get a lot of stuff later on in the game that you don't get early in the game. And it's beneficial to have it as early as possible. So, okay, so I'm going to try and make my way up this way so that I can avoid the hybrids and the because they are a bit annoying. And you can normally, if you do the jump, avoid having to fight all those things. Not that they'd kill me or anything. It's just, and it takes a long way to take so. No need for me to. I should be able to jump. I think I almost died there, but never mind. Got away with it. And through there is where you get the Ursine armor diagrams. It's a level 20 quest. Not worth me doing at the minute, because I'm not going to be using the Ursine armor in this playthrough for the first time in a little while. And you normally get a Dimeritium ingot over here, so on your way up, do make sure that you go through. There you go. It's weird because like a lot of the loot is random, but in some fixed places you're very, very likely to get certain loot, I find, on every playthrough. Like I have virtually always got a Dimeritium ingot there from what I remember, so certain places really worth checking. Now I'm just going to make my way up here and get the Place of Power, which will be extremely useful. Now the other thing that I need to do is get ready to do this woodland quest, which is going to be in the heart of the woods, which is what I think they do at that, which is the 5 young Leshen in Novigrad.
Place of power. Should draw from it.
Yes, I should. Okay, so that's what we came for. And this is what we're going to be looking for now. So, see how many skill points I've got and what I want to do with them. So I have plenty of skill points available. So I can get Delusion and Aard Sweep, no problem after that. And that would still leave me 4 points to put in Poison Blade, so I could switch to that when I wanted. So that might be quite useful. I can always respec if I need to, I think. So Frenzy's another good one for this No Armour playthrough. This would be good, but let's have a look. I was thinking about getting Frenzy, but I think Poison Blades would be useful. Let me think. So if I put 2 points in that, I'd have 4 points for Poison Blades. But Aard Sweep, it's not really about... I think what I'll try and do is I'll try and do the contract without Poison Blades. I'll make a save first, and then I'll come back to it afterwards. Because I don't have the slots to use them at the minute anyway, so I'll see if I can do the do it without Poison Blades first. And then if I need Poison Blades, I can always reload it and do it from there. And this will be coming up to where I'll probably leave this one. Depending on how long this takes me. So my main aim for this is going to be trying to get the Ancient Leshen decoction. And I'm going to be trying to use bleeding and poisoning like I did with the level 20 Leshen that ambushed me last playthrough, last time out. In the last episode, I was able to beat that, so this is what's making me think that I can take this thing on and have a bash at that as well. Just going to ride Roach and then do this quest. What are ye looking at? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Try and beat these things. Okay, so I'm going to try and do this. I'm going to turn enemy upscaling off because I'm not sure if the wolves are supposed to be lower level or not. I don't think they are, but we can have a look. Let's try it first. Okay, let's go through all this stuff and then carry on. Right, let's see how we go. So, that's made a save there, which is useful, and I'll try and make an auto save before I fight the actual Leshen, or actually update the save, and we'll see how we go. So first I'm going to need Beast Oil and Relic Oil, and at some point I'll probably have to meditate anyway, so I'll use up these things first, and then I'll use these things first, and then the potions to fight the wolves and stuff, and then before I take on the Leshen I'll meditate so that I have my full complement of potions and bombs back. It might be a very difficult fight, but I'm going to give it my best shot and try and do it because I do really want that Ancient Leshen decoction, so we'll have to see how we go.
Smashed bones. That takes strength. No point in trying to parry its blows.
Nope. See if I can even deal with these things first. So I should be able to get these, I think. But I'm not sure how much damage they'll actually do to me, so I'll have to be a bit careful with that. You can actually parry the blows from the wolves a lot of the time. And with poisoning and bleeding, I can do a lot of damage to them over time. One of the things that I really do like against the packs of wolves is if you can get time to cast Erden, then that can slow them down a lot. And make them easier to deal with. But again, as you can see, they do a fair amount of damage. And this is going to be the problem with fighting the Leshen as well. Is that I'm going to have to fight the wolves at the same time. So I need to be making good use of the enhanced Tornial. So I'll try and concentrate on taking one of the wolves out first. And then if I can get fire damage on them, that's extremely useful as well. So I'll just let my stamina regenerate a bit there. And then dodge around. So like even on deathmatch, when you're playing with no armor as I am, it's not an instant kill if an enemy hits you, so it's still relatively forgiving. And that's why the game gets so easy if you do use protective coating, because of the way that that works. So, always useful. I do have an exploding shield with these things. So I can get a bit of damage off on them. Now they give you white wolf hides as well, which is extremely useful. I really love those because they can be sold for quite a lot of money as well. So we're just going to try and find the whatever traxer it is that we need to follow. And try and get this quest to continue. It's these scratches I need to look at, I think, which denote it as an Ancient Leshen.
Just marked off its territory. A Leshen. Male. Very old. Damn it. Probably marked one of the...
Okay, so we've just got all these to go through, blah blah blah. Might as well clear them off. I hate having the little yellow marker by them, so just clear those. And off we go. Come on, Roach. I normally do put a video title on, but I might have forgotten on this one because I had to restart it. But I'm not going to come out because it'll restart the whole thing. So, thank you for pointing that out though, but I'll just leave it for now. Okay, so we've got all this stuff.
Went to look at the total... Almost...
Okay.
Just... Word. Gotta use my senses. Find the one marked by the woodland spirit.
Okay, so the woman who's marked is... let me have a look. She's over this way, but I just want to try and find the merchant and see if I can play him first. Gwent, but I don't know where he is, so I'll find him later. Ruh-roh.
Chosen the girl. Damn it.
That sucks. I'm sure there is a merchant somewhere in this village that you can play for Gwent, but I'm not sure exactly where it is, so I'm not going to spend ages running around looking for him. I can always come back later.
So... No.
Okay, so just exile him. Get rid of them. Ba 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 ba. Okay, so off we go. Just going to try this, and hopefully I can beat this thing. And then before I destroy the last totem, I'll meditate to get my potions back, and hopefully be able to take that out.
Come on now. Leshen's territory begins here. Need to destroy all the totems before I find the beast.
Not even talking to Harold, because I definitely don't want to spare the Ancient Leshen, seeing as how that's the whole reason I'm doing this quest, is to get the mutagen. I think you do have to fight another pack of wolves at some point, so I'll have to be a bit mindful of that. I'll use up the potions that I've got, and then I'll meditate beforehand. Yeah, there they are.
Ugly bastard.
Whoa, what's fighting me already? That's weird. That was like the Leshen putting its roots out, but like I shouldn't be fighting the Leshen yet, so that's weird. Get those burning first, which is always useful. Take that one out because it has the lowest health, and then get to work on these. So that one's poisoned now. And get Quen up to be able to take a hit and do some exploding Quen damage on that one. And then take this one out. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Okay, so that's them done. So now I'm just going to meditate and make sure that I've got everything sorted. Okay, so oils. We wanted beast oil and relic oil. I wanted the echidna decoction. I'm not sure if I can poison it with the puffball, but I will try that as well. And again, the moondust bomb stops it from being able to move. So I'll have a go with that first. It stops it from being able to teleport. And then I'll get Gourmet for the healing. And off we go. So I'll start off with the moondust first. Oh, I've got to fight some wolves again. I'll try and fight these without potions if at all possible, so that I can save those. Take those out. And again, the burning's really useful, so instead of using up my enhanced toenails, I'm going to try and use these instead. And just let Gourmet heal me. Deal with them with fire damage and everything else. And just have my normal stamina regeneration. You can see the massive difference that the enhanced toenail has been making though. It's very useful for those. Just needs a little more patience. I'll let Gourmet heal me. And then I can keep all my resources for fighting the Ancient Leshen. And hopefully this thing comes out now. Right, you ready, you ugly thing? Here we go. So this is going to be tricky, but we'll see how we go. Now this with the wolves is going to be pretty tricky, but we'll just have to see how we do. Let's see if I can burn this thing, because if not, this is going to be tricky in a hurry. Okay, so I can actually I do actually need to hit them thing is the problem. So I need to just get the time to be able to do that. This is going to be a bit tricky, but we'll have to see how we go. Okay, so reload the crossbow. And then if I can hit it with the bleeding arrows, I'll see if I can actually bleed it. I've got the dancing star as well. And I'm able to get the fire damage on it, so that means that I probably will be able to beat it, because it's the fire damage that's going to cause a ton of damage to it. I just need to be able to dodge long enough to get that on it. Oh wow, that was pretty brutal. So yeah, I do have to be very careful fighting this thing. I need to be keeping Quinn up. Now the problem there was it was very difficult for me to keep the crossbow reloaded. And that was the problem with that, because I need the crossbow to be trying to inflict bleeding on it. But as long as I know that the dancing star and the dragon's dream can inflict burning on it, I'll be able to do enough damage to it over time. So what I'm going to have to do is try and hit it with that bleeding arrow, but also get the dancing star to do some damage, and then get the devil's puffball and see if I can get the devil's puffball to damage it as well. So quite a lot of dodging going to be needed. It's the, like I say, the wolves are going to be the big problem, and that's going to be the thing that makes it tricky. So I'll start with the moon dust bomb again and see how we go. I don't think it can regenerate. I don't think it can regenerate health, so that should be alright. Let's have a look. So we've got the immune dust bomb ready, and that'll be starting again. So you didn't get any burn from Igni there, which is the slight danger. So I'll have to be careful with that. And if I can get the fire damage on it, then I should be able to get some burning on. If I can get the wolves down first, then I don't think the wolves regenerate, which will be quite helpful. But I'll have to see. Wasn't able to burn it there, so I'll have to make good use of all that kind of stuff first, and try and get the wolves out of the way, which is going to be difficult because they're all red skull as well. So this might be extremely difficult, but we'll give it our best shot. Dodging away, not been able to do any real damage to it yet, but oof, damn man. Right, so that was undying, saving me there. Able to get bleeding on one of the wolves as well. So I'll just have to keep Quinn up. I'll try and get the other bomb in play as well, the Dragon's Dream. And that will help me burn it with Igni a little bit. Well, that's the hope anyway. But I need to focus on keeping Quinn up at all times, so that's why that's a bit tricky. If I can get it to swing, then... Throw the bomb, Geralt! Oh, damn, you really can't get hit by it. So yeah, that's how the fight's going to have to go. So, this is why it's going to be pretty tricky to do this. Now what I may do is, I may have to stop the stream shortly, so I may have to leave this and pick it up at the start next time. But I'll have one more go at it, and then start it. It is, like I say, I did think the wolves would be the problem, so I'll have to try and deal with those first. You don't really have the time to be using the crossbows effectively. So what I might have to do is try it again from a little bit of an earlier autosave and have poison blades on. Because if poison blades can actually poison the Leshen, then that'll be a lot easier. In fact, I think that'll make quite a big difference, so I might go with that. This is when it's quite fun though, you know, when you're trying to do something really difficult. It reminds me of when I was trying to get the mutations at level 20, which I actually managed once as one of my videos. So before we just start this, let's see if I can change my abilities up. No. Alright, so I'd have to go back to an earlier save, but we'll be able to do that. So get it with the Moondust Bomb first. We missed it with Moondust there, which is why it was able to teleport. And that'll stop it from being able to teleport. And then get that. I wonder if I can burn these things with Petri filter, so I've got to try a bunch of different tactics and see if I can figure out something that will help. So it didn't burn the Leshen, but it might be able to burn the wolves, so I'll have to watch out for that. Okay, so you can see that the fire damage did an absolute ton of damage to it there, so that's useful. And I'll see if I can get the Devil's Puffball to actually inflict poison as well, because that would be another useful thing. So if I can do a lot of damage with the poisoning, then that would be useful. And you see that that's actually taken out a lot of the wolves' health, so that will be useful as well. If I can actually get a few of the wolves down, then that would be a very useful tactic. So I'm going to keep them trying to come into the actual poison cloud and keep damaging them.
Time to end this.
That tree attack, that attack that it does is extremely dangerous, so I have to be careful of that as well. Okay, so that's inflicted bleeding. And that's useful. And you can see that the Leshen was still taking damage there, so that's a useful thing as well. Just going to keep dodging. Enhanced there. And stay away from that attack. That bleeding. Swords. That out. So again, exploding quest kind of useful, but it's more than the actual quest damage that it does. It's just a bit of space, and I can almost take out now home and any wall a lot easier because I can just focus on killing the Leshen. So and you can see there that the arrow, when I actually did get the chance to do bleeding on it, the bleeding actually does a good chunk. So that's again very useful. Okay, so that's almost all of the wolves down. So just going to focus on this thing first. And you can see it has summoned in some more wolves, so that's kind of a problem. So what I might just do in future is just kill like two of the wolves if I'm not able to beat it this time. Just going to keep my Gwen up. Take out those with poisoning and try and draw the Leshen into that and see if it'll actually get hit with those as well. And just take it out. So got a lot of poisoning going on. I can draw the wolves into that crowd. And just be taking them out. Almost out of the enhanced Tornial though is a bit of a problem. I just got to keep that up. Can't get hit by that attack, but I do have a lot of adrenaline as well, so it is the wolves that are the real problem at the minute. and just keep Quen up. If I can actually get the time to take those out. There's so many of them that it's actually difficult for me to aim at the Leshen. And that's what's causing the problem, so. Managed to get a shot in there. Again, same thing. The problem is that I'm losing the enhanced tourniquet now. If I can get just a bit more extra damage, then I should be able to do it. So, what else can I use? I've got my Salmon and Northern Wind, so I'm going to use the Northern Wind because they're useful. Got the Grape Shot to do a bit of damage there as well, and the Dragon's Dream. So, again, if I can get a few solid shots in with the bombs, then I should be alright, because the bombs will do a lot of damage to it. Okay, so if I can actually get these sorted, that I can get another bleeding arrow with the Northern Wind bomb, then that'll do a lot of damage. I can keep my Quen up, and you can see that the bleeding is gradually taking its health down. And now if I can get the Dragon's Dream bomb and draw them into that, I might be able to actually get it burnt with Igni, which is a big deal. So, see if I can draw it in. Right, so that should do a lot of damage to it as well. I've got one more Northern Wind and one more enhanced tourniquet, and I should be able to take this thing out. And it better give me the damn mutagen. Okay, so again, managed to get those tactics sorted and take that out, and that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to try and beat these things down now, because they're the only thing that I have to worry about. Okay, so as long as I can take these out, which shouldn't be too much of a problem, then I'll be good to go. And hopefully get my mutagen. Yes, right, that's exactly what I wanted. So, I can get that. And then get it. Right. Now that is pretty sweet. So, what I want to be doing is getting my Aard Sweep. I did manage it without Poison Blades. I do think that if Poison Blades would have worked on it, which it probably would have, then that would have been easier. So I did it as even more of a challenge than we normally do. But yeah, that's pretty cool anyway. So, nice to do that. And I wanted my Ancient Leshen decoction there. Make that straight away. And that is where I'm going to leave it. So, that is exactly what I wanted to do. That was all on Deathmarch. Managed to beat the Ancient Leshen exactly as I wanted. And then got that mutagen. And basically, what that's going to mean is that now I can use my Ancient Leshen decoction and use Aard Sweep. And from now on, I will be able to use the Ancient Leshen decoction with the Aard Sweep and get my stamina regeneration higher, as well as knocking enemies back. So that was really cool. I'm really glad that with how that went. Thank you very much for watching and sticking there, Sabu. That was really cool. And thank you everybody watching on YouTube. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more videos, and we will pick that up in the next episode. So thank you very much, and you all have a good day on the path.